How we doing?
Yo, yo. How's it going, Alex?
It's good, mate. It's sunny here, so
Mm.
so I can't complain.
It's it's not too bad here. You're a little bit grey and gloomy, but the sun's out this side.
No, I mean it's normal.
Yeah.
It's normal, standard grey.
Right? Yeah, you fully look like you are in the midst of the European sunshine there. Like, it looks lovely. You can see it with the hue. Like, it's just got that golden hue.
Yeah, it was one of the main reasons. Yeah, that
Thank you for travelling with us
you
today.
have to prioritize your innate relationship with what we are, you know. And that's why the sun is a massive part.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
I actually found a bit of paper which I put. I'm gonna have a place in the sun and meet the love of my life. So that was 2 years ago. I wrote that, and now obviously, yeah, it's happened. So
Wow.
crazy
Well,
stuff.
I think that's a great first topic to talk about, isn't it? Like the quantum reality and creating our manifestations, but not even, I don't even like to call them manifestations. I like to call them inheritance because it's already there,
Yeah,
you know, and all we got to do is inherit it. So once we
exactly.
align with once we align with the truth, right? Our truth, and like put ourselves in the right situations, then bam, we inherit this abundance, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. It's our birthright, and
Yeah.
that also goes for the water, the food, and the access to clean sanitation. And what's happened is that we've kind of forgotten, or we've been led astray to actually forget that.
Yeah, I fully agree. It is a forgetting. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like anything's really been taken from us. You know, we've just kind of forgotten our natural way.
Yeah.
And, you know, nature has always provided, always. And I suppose the thing that's happened is we've come out of nature. We've come out of that harmonious balance, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, now we find ourselves in artificial environments. You know, you were talking about the sun, and now I'm surrounded by these fake LED lights, which are high in those blue frequencies, the different frequencies that isn't matching that natural sunlight.
Yeah.
So all we have to do is remember what's out there. You know, remember the simplicity.
Exactly. Get a lot of people are talking about ancestral. Go back to ancestry, because it makes sense that if we're not too dissimilar from other humans that have lived, you know, the primordial being. We're not too dissimilar in our composition, in our makeup. Then what was inherent to their survival is also inherent to ours.
Right. Yeah, and you touched on an interesting topic there, because I don't think the human biology or genes has actually like ever changed.
Yeah.
You know, we're getting into a deep subject there with evolution and everything. And for me, it feels like, you know, we were created in that perfect image, right? We were created with the divine essence of God, and, you know, the body itself works miracles.
Yeah.
And it's created in a way that truly thrives, as long as we give it the right circumstance, give it the right environments, the right foods, the right waters, you know?
Exactly. This is it. So what's happened then, what we can see observably and based on evidence, is that mankind as a collective is unaware of that. Because surely every man and woman, boy and girl, will want the best for themselves, you would think. And so when you see health deteriorating to such a degree, then surely questions have to be asked of why is that happening?
Yeah, and I guess people aren't asking, right? That's what you mean. Like, people aren't asking why we hit sort of 50s, 60s, 70s, and even younger now. Like, honestly, I see so many people with diagnosed issues, mental, physiological, and we're not really questioning why. We're sort of in a place of acceptance, like just real acceptance, and then just taking the easy option, which is whatever the authority tells us, right? That's the doctor, that's the politician, that's your parents even. So I think having that healthy skepticism and being able to question what we're told, what's in front of us, is that way to remembrance, because we then open up the doorway, right? We open up the doorway for that info to come in. It's like the whole cognitive dissonance. We are so within the program of this sort of system that to question it is going against like our whole being. I feel like a lot of people find themselves in this position to question it actually causes like stress and anxiety and conflict, So
Definitely.
So how would someone go from being in that sort of place to then actually finding an answer, or just finding that ability to question? Like, was there something that helped you get to that point?
Yeah, absolutely. It was when I reached the point of my health being deteriorating. So I wasn't feeling optimal. I wasn't thriving. I wasn't, I didn't have that glow. I didn't have that energy. And I started to ask questions of myself. And then I looked in the mirror for the first time and gave myself an honest evaluation. And after I'd done that evaluation, I started to do self-inquiry. So that basically means you start to ask questions of yourself, what it is that you desire, and what actions are you going to take in order to get that result that you want. And for me, it was with calisthenics, with using my body as a weight, basically. And the more I started to see results, eating the right food to complement that effort which I put in, then I started to develop more confidence in myself, and I started to feel happier with myself.
Right.
But I used the outside world to reflect, and then use what I saw on outside of me to then channel inward. And then from there, it just started to snowball effect, and then the results came. So it was really, that was my springboard, was looking after my body and eating the right foods. And then I found biohacking, and then it just goes from there, right? The same with your journey as well, right? It's the knowledge that you acquire comes from something within you that you can't explain.
Yeah, it's really interesting to reflect back on back on that sort of journey, because it does start with that inwardness. For me, it was seeing self, you know, and I guess what really catapulted me into realizing that something was off, or there was something more to what was in front of us, is my own trauma, my own shit that then, you know, caused a lot of mental health issues. You know, I was in severe anxiety, severe depression for a big amount of time, and it felt like there was no sort of solution in the external. It felt there was nothing out there that could actually help me. Like, I had to go inwards, you know. And so what I guess what I first went into was meditation.
Okay.
You know, finding that space from the external, and just coming inwards. And I think once you do that, you realize you have a lot of power, because I was able to alleviate these pains, you know, this like not in here and not down here, you know, just through focus, through repeating of mantras, you know, like changing the thoughts that were going on in my brain, which were so self-destructive, you know, fueled by that anxiety and depression. And then I was just saying these other words that were fueled by love and strength. And I started to feel better. I started to see results, just like you did, you know, with your body, right? And it's really interesting that I went like the mind way, you went the body way, but it's like a very similar thing. And yeah, like once, I don't think this is the only way though. I don't think we have to feel pain, or have to feel pain for us to realize this. I don't think so. But it feels like how a lot of people realize. And, you know, it actually then shifts these so-called painful times into something that is amazing, a blessing that we can be grateful for, that we can look back on and be like, wow, okay, that's why that was there, to actually help me see this. And, you know, most people who I talk to who are in that sort of state of self-awareness, that are in that growth mentality, that want to improve themselves, improve the planet, you know, improve everything in their lives, have gone through some kind of shit. Like, I think maybe this is what happens. And I think everyone has something that they either choose to bring awareness to, or they avoid their whole lives.
Yeah.
You know, and then I suppose this then leads on to the manifestation of dis-ease as we get older, because that conflict is unresolved within. So then conflict starts to happen on the external, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to see that link, because the body and mind are one. And
right.
when you take up the sort of the initiative by improving either one, as seeing it as its own separate part, then other aspects start to come in. Like you said, the more you're working on your mind, the more outer your mind is a reflection, or your outer is a reflection, of your inside. In a way.
For sure.
And when I started to train physically, then I started to get more clarity. And that's why, you know, my tagline was working out is working inwards. That's just, you know, for me, that worked for me. And I do believe that the neurochemical aspect of that, and being a proponent of loving yourself to that degree, in the same way in which you were doing by having these affirmations, these you know, controlling your mind basically, the more you start to feel that your cells are actually listening, and your cells, as it's proven, they actually respond to your thoughts.
Yeah.
And if you look at the cell on a microscopic level, you can see the complexity of it. You can see that we are more than just, Darwinian theory, Darwin theory.
Yes. Yes.
And this is a really important concept to grasp and really own and value. And then it's only in owning it do you then devalue the previous program or concept that you were given, because it wasn't necessarily an original thought. And I find the hardest part of becoming or actualizing what you want is unlearning all of the programs that have come before.
Right.
That were never our own. They were given to us through loads of ways, loads of mediums.
Right. Right.
Without going into it too heavy.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. And then you're touching on epigenetics there as well.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
And how these things that pass down through our bloodlines and through society and through our environments, even in the womb and everything, like it has that epigenetic effect, and we have a power to change that through epigenetics again, right? Like it's not set. Genes are not set. And this is what epigenetics proves. Like the environment can then change how the gene responds. So like what you were saying, the cells listen to our thoughts. So
they do.
Once we start changing that and then reprogramming the ideas, then on that quantum cellular level, that's what they start to hear and then start to resonate at. So then we start crystallizing a whole new DNA sequence.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I think this is where the empowerment lies within us. We truly do have the power to change our own genes. And that sounds almost crazy when you consider science, the science and the backing of the genes. And, it's finding that sovereignty within the holistic health, right? Within all areas of that. And the more we find our sovereignty, the more we empower ourselves, and the more we can actually start changing our lives and not have to rely on these systems that actually don't even serve us. It's and I think now is the time. Now is the time. Millions of people all over the world, and all the information we could ever need.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at the word epigenetics, when you break it down, epi basically means from above. So from above, genetics.
This station
and
is
that
this train
basically
concludes
what you're saying about how we do have power to control our genes. We do have control over this and the whole being itself. And that actually comes into what is termed spiritual logic. I mean, it's just a buzzword or term, but as humans, or whatever you want to call us, we have to put things into boxes in order for them to make sense. And the spiritual logic comes from acknowledging that there is something from above you, and it is actually determining certain aspects of you depending on your connection with it. Right? Depending on your connection and the spiritual logic, spirit just means breath. So we're all breathing, so by a technicality, we're all of spirit. And the trouble is that we forgot. Because we can't see it, but we're doing it. We're doing it the whole time. We're all breathing.
Change here for dark services to London Luton.
And now we just have a little moment there, just and just being able to have that that presence. And it's not even difficult. It's not even weird. It's just everything just stops.
Yeah.
Gone.
You know, and I think people do this subconsciously and out of their awareness all the time. You know, like in like a high stress moment or something like that. It's like, you know what I mean? We naturally do it because the body just knows that that moment of breath is that moment of peace, you know, is that stillness, is that connection. And yeah, it's quite amazing, the breath. And I'm curious, do you practice breath work? Is that something you have in a daily sort of thing?
Yeah, the techniques I learned with the College of Naturopathic Medicine, they gave me such a basic breathing technique, and it goes simply like this: you put one hand on your chest, your upper sternum, and you put one hand on your diaphragm, or your navel area, belly button, and then you close your eyes, and then you inhale through your nose, and then push with your hand on the belly button area, and then breathe out. So breathe in to push out the belly. So basically you take away the emphasis from up here and you place it down on the diaphragm. And the diaphragm is just a massive balloon inside the body that when you start to breathe from there, from that place, then it massages all of the organs surrounding it and above it.
Yes.
And then that gets you into what's called parasympathetic nervous state, which is called rest or digest. So when you've had quite a lot of food, you can basically do this. You can just focus your breath from the belly button area, and it will facilitate the movement or the involuntary movement of food that you've just put inside you. And that's called peristalsis, and that basically allows the organs to work optimally and increases bioabsorption, so the absorption of food through your bloodstream. It relaxes you, and no one wants to eat when they're stressed. Like, you completely, there's no gratefulness with what you're eating, for example. You can't actually, you know, when I eat, I visualize, especially after training. I will be eating what I know to be nutritious food, and I'll be visualizing how this food is going to transfer onto my body and get me to where I want to get to. So, you know, I want to target. Say I just targeted my whole body, and I'm eating this quality food, and I'm just thinking about what it's going to do for me. You know, how it's going to get me to my goal. And this is a really powerful technique, and it's not one that many people speak about. And I didn't really know that I was doing it until I started to observe and obviously help other people achieve their ideal body state composition. So yeah, I've got such a relationship now with visualization that you can really apply it to anything that you do.
Yeah.
Such as the power of the eye, the image, the imagination is the eye magician. We're the magicians of our eye, the eye being one. So we can create magic with our mind.
Yeah. It is quite amazing once you step into that place of forming your reality through such a clear vision. And it's interesting. Like, I started doing that with theatre. This is why I loved theatre. This is what I'm trained in. This is what my degree's in. And it was like having that vision in there was like, okay, now I want to just take it out and make it a reality. And it was easy for me to do that, because the vision was so clear. I held it there. And, now it becomes, more into those subtleties of everyday life. And, the bigger picture, the bigger mission, the bigger vision of what we're working towards, right? I believe, you and I and countless other people are working towards that bigger mission. And, it's obviously to create heaven on earth, right? It's to create a utopian way of life, community-based living that's serving us and the collective. And, holding that vision with everything that we do, even with the food that we eat, knowing that eating that piece of broccoli is going to nourish our cells so then we can do that work today. And so we're creating that bigger mission towards, the end of, whenever that is, right? I'm seeing it in a few decades. And, it is the power of mind. And for someone who isn't that aware of all of this, just think of it as that creativity, like how I started. We have a creative vision, and then we're able to do it. Even with a pen and paper, like, we are literally able to create that vision that we had in our mind. And this is the simplest way to actually grasp how we inherit and manifest this world around us.
Yes, absolutely. And some people will dismiss this as most people will dismiss this as being crazy, or I think the current word people are using is schizophrenic.
Right.
So that ignorance really comes from how certain foundations and institutions have again shaped people's reality for them.
Right.
There's a lack of curiosity to actually take control and become the authority of this, we're our own universe when you think about it. And when people start to become aware of what's been perpetrated against us in terms of the hijacking of our mind, then you would like to think people would be really, really, almost desperate to find ways to make themselves free, to unlock certain things that are troubling them, any challenges they have physically, mentally, emotionally. And that is all because we have this design is able to do that. But again, we've been our prefrontal cortex has kind of been, or our amygdala has been bypassed and hijacked. And that's quite a scary thought to think.
Right.
That something invisible has managed to claim ownership of you without you being aware of it in the first place.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and is this the premise of your new venture out in Portugal called Reset? Is this the driver for it? So people actually have a chance to come into your space, come into your, what do you call it? A center, a retreat center?
Yeah.
What are you going for?
Well, the actual premise of Reset is what it says. It's a reset of your conditioned beliefs and the way in which you look at yourself, firstly in terms of your structure, so what you're actually made of, and then the relationship that you have with yourself, and how that is actually representative of the behaviors, the disciplines, or lack of, and habits that we unconsciously perform. So what we do is address the whole being. So we're looking obviously at the physical, we're looking at the mental, the spiritual, and the nutrition and the lifestyle, and also the trauma aspect as well, which my wife is very, very knowledgeable with, and me and her combined is a force to be reckoned with, and this is why we're very excited to bring it, especially with what we anticipate in the future. There's going to be a requirement for people who are conscious to help them understand whether, you know, and this goes into how you work as well with your energy medicine, your organite, your understanding of water.
I've got some
everything. There we go. And
oh, nice.
it just calms. It's such a calming presence just to have, man. Like, you know.
Yeah, you know, and it is that word reset. Like, so it's like resetting it back to balance. You know, back to that harmonious state. And you know, this is exactly what I work with. You know, in terms of the organite and the water. So the organite is literally about harmonizing our environments. So then ourselves can then come back to that balance, you know, and feel that peace. And, you know, it's to also, I love this word reset. It's to reset the systems that are out here that are working against us. You know, that's the only reason we're doing this, right? We don't, if we were living in a harmonious, balanced life, we wouldn't be having this call right now to actually spread the awareness.
Exactly.
And you know, it's so interesting the mirroring that we have with each other and our directions and what we're doing, and yet we're taking it from different angles. And you know, it's awesome to be able to find like-minded people like yourself and actually do this together, like knowing, you know, we don't have to do this alone. And you know, we are connecting all over the world now. Like, yeah, okay, you were in the UK, but now you're in Portugal, right? You know.
Exactly. And that's the key. Oh, I think we lost James. Speaking of systems that get in the way, train Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I'm on data, man, and I've just gone through a tunnel, so it's a bit dodgy. And so I always go right. So this is what I got with me right now.
Oh yeah.
This is a gallon of water. So it is backwards, but what you can see there is Kongan water. And in Japanese, the word Kongan means return to origin. Right?
Oh, right.
So that is resetting the water back to its origin state, back to source state. So then when we consume this water, it's returning ourselves back to state, that original state. And, you know, like when I first started, it was a remembrance that true source, the essence, the harmonious state that water always holds, right? It's always within the water because water holds this memory. So if we're able to actually clear the rest of all that programming and all that shit that sits in the water, then when we consume it, we get that remembrance, and then our cells remember it. It's like, oh, that's where I came from.
Yeah,
that's the origins. So then, yeah, it becomes this really powerful, full body experience. Actually, drinking this water, it's quite crazy, and it's like such a simple thing. It's such a simple process. You know, it's just replicating the waters of the natural earth. You know, like this is what I mean? It's remembering that essence. Like we knew what water was supposed to be like. It was supposed to be living. And when we drink it, it was supposed to give us life and not take life from us. Like what so many waters do these days, bottled waters and tap water. And so, yeah, the premise on how I work, I suppose, is simplifying it down to the essence of our water bodies and then our environment.
Yeah.
And I feel like getting those right, you know, the water bodies is more than water. Like it's the exercise, you know, it's the mindset, you know, it's all these things that come into the water body, but it's remembering that the water, you know, the hydrogen bonds, right, is the building blocks of everything. You know, even our DNA is built up by hydrogen bonds.
Yeah.
You know, it's the essence of us. So yeah, it's it's something that we're definitely waking up to. We're remembering the simplicity and how we're able to do this. We're really able to bring our bodies back to that origin state and bring our environments back to the origin state.
Exactly.
You know.
You know, James.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest investments you can make is in a water filter, and I'm going to buy a Kangen at some point. And for those people who, you know, who get a bit funny about spending more than like, you know, £50 on like a product or £100 on a product, they will spend that on other things of that price that will actually do more harm than good.
Right.
They're not, you know, these aren't the people that we're speaking to, because they're going to do whatever they're going to do. That's fine. But for people who are health conscious, to actually invest in a water filter, I think it is nowadays is so key. It's so crucial. And a really easy way, if you're on a budget, is to get shungite. You obviously know about shungite or other carbon-based crystals, and you can put these in your water, and they basically act as an absorption material, and they remove the toxins that are found in water on that molecular level, and they harmonize again the water, and that will then go into our body, and then that harmony will be manifested within us, which is exactly what the water Kangen does. It's, you know, it's exactly, but it's the best you can get.
Right.
And that's why I'm good at.
Yeah. And, you know, filtration is like the first step when it comes to water. You know, this is what the earth does as well, right?
I'm going for another tunnel. Herb's my brother. Jump on. It's definitely going through a tunnel right now. Yeah. Next time, James, we'll do it when you're not traveling.
Yeah. And this is, yeah, I hold my hands up. And, you know, things changed today. I got delayed and had.
It's alright, mate.
And yeah, so this is the essence of being like an entrepreneur as well, and actually taking sovereignty over your own life.
Yeah. Yeah, I respect that. Right. I'm gonna add herbs to this. How do I add you?
You know. Yeah, it's because I'm quite low down in like a little valley.
It's all good, bro. I'm just going to drop in my friend Herbs. He wants to get involved, and he's also another one on the same level. Hello.
Yes, guys. Greetings. How are we both?
Very well, very well.
Good to see you, my friend.
Can't see you yet.
No,
So
I
I
can't
just
get this
realised
camera
there's
on.
Wi-Fi on this train.
I've just invited
Hey.
my friend. There we go.
How's it going, dude? Nice to see you.
Yes, bro. This is Bruce James. This is Herbs.
Nice to meet you, my man.
What's up, bro? I can't see you. Is your video there?
Yeah.
It's coming.
You see him now.
How are you both? You both well?
Oh yeah. Ian.
Just dropped into the water conversation, and
Yeah.
honestly, I'm not so high level as you two, where I've invested so much in it. But the noticeable difference switching from tap water, profound difference. Just switching to bottled water, which I know is not a solution long term, but it massively makes a difference. And to my cognitive function, that has probably been the biggest benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And why is that, James? Why does cognition get better with water?
Well, literally, the brain is a hydroelectricity dam. Like, it works on hydroelectricity. Like, we need so much water for it to function properly. And right now, we're also in a state where we're surrounded by non-native EMFs. And this is stuff from like Wi-Fi, from our phones, Bluetooth, everything. And these have actually been shown to affect the water within the cell. So
Right.
when we actually start getting proper hydration, then the cells within our brain start functioning properly, and we're able to just operate more optimally. So, you know, this is one thing that I massively saw when switching. You know, I went from tap water straight to Kangen water. So then I was getting all the molecular hydrogen, I was getting the living structured water, and my cognition went through the roof. You know, the brain fog disappeared and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So when you consider the vast majority of our body is water, when we get it right, everything just starts to operate at the optimal state.
So, James, if I was to ask you what your opinion was on H3O, the hydration from fruit, would you say that was to make an extra addition towards that, or not?
So the hydration within fruit is obviously absolutely amazing as long as it's fresh.
Yeah.
As long as it's right there and then. You know, the fruit itself has to be picked from the tree and then eaten. Like, you can measure the energy of the fruit in angstroms, I believe it is. And you have so many angstroms within the fruit when it's actually on the tree. And as soon as you pick it, it starts going. So when we consider fruit juice and juices from fruit that have been picked for weeks, if not months, it's not really that living anymore. Like, yes, we're getting the increase of the nutrients, and obviously it's some of the best water we can get hold of, especially something like a coconut, right? The coconut water.
Watermelon.
Right? The watermelons and everything like that. And, you know, it's the way we live. It's the systems that we have in place that, you know, sort of give us this falsality. So yeah, if we're picking those watermelons and coconuts straight away and drinking it, awesome. If they've been picked and we have no idea how long they've been picked and stored, it's not that complete solution.
So this is the whole journey that I've been on in the last couple of years, I moved myself to plant-based for a while, and I noticed so many profound benefits when I was on the plant-based diet. And I was very strict with it. I wasn't eating like made-up meats and stuff.
Yeah.
But it got to a certain point where the reverse started to happen, and I solely believe that that was because I'm in the UK and the produce that I'm getting is not organic, and it's not like you say, it's not fresh from trees. It's been held in storerooms for a long time. Now I've actually reversed my diet back to more of a primal way of eating, and it took me a long time to start eating meat and eggs and stuff again, but because I'm now getting solid nutrition through them foods, I feel a lot better. But if I was to move to a country like Alex and go to Portugal, I would definitely U-turn on that again.
Right. Yeah. You touch on the same thing that I've gone through, man. Like, so yeah, I was vegan, plant-based for 6 years, and it got to a point where it just wasn't sustainable. And the thing is, with the animal products, they are so much more nutrient dense, and they tend to be fresher. Like they actually do, especially if you source it quite locally, right? You can get an egg pretty quickly these days, and you know, it's a funny one, because going plant-based and living like that, in essence, could be seen as the correct way. You know, obviously we're all different. We got different blood types. We got different lineages. Like, there's different ways to eat. And, you know, like, when we consider the nutritional value of the foods we're eating now is about 8 times lower than what our great-grandparents had. Right? This is only a couple generations. So, you know, we have to now eat 8 carrots to get the same nutrition than what our great-granddad and grandma had. Like, it's crazy. We're not going to be able to eat 8 carrots. So,
and that's probably not due to the quality of the way it's grown or the soil that it's grown in. It's genuinely to do with the things that they do to hamper how our food ends up being produced. Right.
Well, for me, I do believe it's that double whammy, because when we consider the soil, right, the soil is life. We have the mycelium network in it. But when we till the land and when we plow the land year on year, monocrop it, there's no mycelium in it, right?
Okay.
So they don't have that network, that communication between the other plants and between themselves. And this is how nutrients get into the plants, through the mycelium. And like, if the plant is deficient, the mycelium will be like, oh, it needs more magnesium, it needs more potassium. But if that mycelium network isn't in the soil, it's not going into the plants as it should. So industrial farming and the way that it's done pretty much over the whole world now has destroyed the soil, depleted it to become basically desert. And it's not holding any of the carbon either. And carbon is so important within the process of growing a plant. So, like, this is the problem with monocropping, man. Like, only 6 months of the year does it have foliage on it. The rest of the time, it's dead land. Like, you'll drive through the UK in winter and there's nothing growing on all this farmland. And
it's like it's kind of forced.
Yes, 100%. And that's obviously why we then rely on heavy chemicals and things that don't actually create abundant food, you know?
And
so
then you've got
to big up Mike as well in the chat.
You've got to look at the synthetic fertilizers and the insecticides, the fungicides, the herbicides, the pesticides.
Yes.
I spoke to a farmer, or Katia spoke to a farmer here in Portugal, and asked him whether the fruit was organic, and he kind of just shrugged his shoulders and was like, well, the organic farmers still spray their food with the same stuff.
I do think maybe organic, and I tried to explain like this to you a couple of years ago, Alex. Like, I do think that is slapped up on there to create revenue. I think whether things are legitly organic or not is very, very, very tough to find out and understand properly whether it is. And you're just believing in another label that they put on top of the package, if that's what you're doing.
For sure.
I mean, one of the most sure, like, to get some assurance that you're eating, some relatively clean fruit or veg, is just to wash it properly. So put it in some water with some baking soda and some vinegar. Let it stay for about 8 to 10 minutes, and yeah, that's exactly what I did with these seeded grapes. And they check out, like they're way more clean. Obviously, it's just the surface pesticides that they get rid of. So they could still technically be inside it, but at least it's better than it was.
That's why it's important to try. If you are consuming a lot of fruits, it's important to try and consume fruits with a hard outer shell, like your watermelons and stuff like that, because then it's obviously an extra layer of protection.
Right, yeah, I've got a really interesting drop here as well. So one solution that I've now got since having the Kangen system is it produces a super high alkaline, like degreasing water. So it's 11.5 pH. And it's actually able to remove the oil-based pesticides from our fruits and veggies. And this has been proven, this has been shown. So we just have to soak the water within this, soak the fruits and veggies within the water, and it's able to draw out these oil-based pesticides because they're oil-based because of the rain, right? So they spray all our crops with that, so then it doesn't run off when it rains. And this is why it then stays on when we wash it in tap water, even using like that baking soda technique as well. That's quite trendy at the moment. And it's like baking soda is a synthetic chemical. We don't really want to be then putting that all within our fruits and veggies, right? So it's a really awesome solution, and it does actually then able to remove these, right? Yeah. Obviously, this isn't prevention, right? What we want to be doing is getting that pure source, but there are ways to be able to optimize how we actually do this. And yeah, like I'm at a bit of a stage where I'm going to have to go underground, so I might actually have to leave this one here, lads.
That's fine. That's fine, bro.
Pleasure to have met you, James, man.
What was your name, dude? Herbie. Pleasure, bro.
Thank you so much, man. Hopefully we can do some more.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I look forward to it, and I'll be present. I'll be in my place, and we can have a proper non-disconnected chat with it all.
Hey, no problem, man.
No problem.
And I just got ringing in my left ear as well, so that's a nice bit of confirmation that this has been solidified and it's happening. So this has opened up a world of opportunity for us, and I look forward to the next one.
Brilliant, man.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Peace and love, guys.
See you soon.
See you soon. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Hey, Pitsy, this is another one I was thinking about last night. So a while ago, one of the boys said to me, he was like, how come you're eating the full apple? And a lot of people have been like told to believe that seeds in fruits are not good, and we should be like de-seeding things and de-pipping them, or not eating like the kiwi skin or certain things like this. Now, I don't know where the translation of this started to happen, but I would always, and I always have, eaten all of my seeds in my apples. I've always eaten the core. I've always eaten the kiwi outer shell. There's so many vitamins and minerals that people are missing out on. It's called the core for a reason. Your core is your center. Your core is your everything. And without a core in your physical body, the rest of your body doesn't withhold. So it makes sense to be eating the core of foods, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, if it's legit, you've got evidence that backs it up, and you haven't died yet. Do you know what I mean? It's like apparently it was always arsenic that was in the.
That's what I heard.
But arsenic's in the tap water as well.
And there's probably a lot more in the tap water too.
Probably more.
And like, I think while we're on the topic of water and the reasons why we don't drink tap water, I think it's important to sort of touch on the fluoride factor
Yeah.
that is in pretty much every product that you're eating and you're consuming, and the fact that you're brushing your teeth with it twice daily is profound to me. The amount of people that don't realize the damage they're doing
Yeah.
by thinking they're doing something good for themselves.
Yeah. It's
And it's hard to tell people or show people why it's so damaging, but I think people need to just trust the fact that it is damaging.
yeah. I mean, there's always the proof to use in science and a lot of papers, peer review papers, and other sources that actually prove the neurochemical damage that it does.
Massively.
And
And cognitive function, like I said earlier,
yeah,
it's huge difference since I've started using non-fluoride toothpaste to before.
yeah,
I don't have this constant brain fog now that I used to have during the day or afternoon.
it's true. It's true. I remember the same with with stopping that and the tap water, stopping that, and yeah, you just have more clarity and you feel better, right? You have more ability to think faster, and as we know, this is related to the pineal gland. And
I was going to say, I feel like you're a lot more connected to source, and I meditate daily at the moment, and my meditations are getting longer. And once I start to break the 10-minute barrier, I start to feel like I'm a lot more connected to them realms. It's like a bit of gratification. They want you to sort of sit with it for a while before they start to give you their messages. But
yeah,
before, when I meditated and I was drinking tap water and I was drinking and I was brushing my teeth with fluoride, was never able to calm my mind. I was never able to sit with it long enough. It was always a lot of intuitive thoughts fizzing around, and I would get attached to these thoughts. Now my mind seems to be a lot clearer, a lot more focused.
yeah, more fluid. Yeah, literally. I just saw the comment from Running with Nate. He asked, on big training days, I'm drinking 5 liters of water. Surely drinking non-tap water is going to be too expensive over time. Yeah.
Just got to be really good at stealing, bro. No, I'm joking.
But what I would say to that is invest in a water filter and a portable water filter. You can get ones that cost about £100, about 120, and that's going to be better than the plastic and the tap water, obviously. So I mean, I can send you some stuff. I regularly give clients and stuff my recommendations for portable filters. James was talking about his Kangen water, which is like talking five grand, but it is the best you can get, to be fair.
And
But the one I have cost me £250.
what was the water bottle that you were using for a long time?
I've still got it with me, actually. So
Nath, take note, man. This is something that I need to invest myself in. It's a charcoal filtered water bottle. I'll let Alex explain. It's dope.
yeah, so it's from a company called Nalgene, and I had basically a water filter, a charcoal water filter. So you can even put tap water into it, and it will filter out all of the harmful toxins in the tap water. So when you're drinking through the straw, you're basically sucking through a straw. It will filter all of the toxins, and you'll just be drinking clean filtered water. They did loads of tests on it, so it removes like 98, 99% of contaminants,
And this
including
is a
fluoride.
a lot cheaper option.
Yeah, so this bottle I've had for about three years now. I don't use the filter as much because I obviously have a clean access to water. And what I do is I fill it with this green powder, called chlorella. Sometimes I'll have some moringa in there. Moringa has been proven to be one of the most nutritious powders you can, or supplements you can have for the body. And I'll add a bit of lemon in there as well with some salt, and then that will be my energy. I don't need any food. I train fasted mostly, and that will keep me satiated. So I literally don't need any food. When I fast, I obviously retain my muscle because of the human growth hormone, and I get sunlight, being away from the UK, and yeah, I can go. It's so easy now just to get your body to a stage where it adapts to not needing food.
And can I expand on that further? A lot of people, I speak about fasting a lot to people, and a lot of people go, but I can't go without that first meal of the day. I feel like I wouldn't have any energy. Now, the process that is happening to you when you're doing this is the parasites in your body that you have collected over a long period of time through eating processed foods or not eating correctly. That is screaming. That's going, feed me, feed me, feed me, give me some shit. That is the problem that you're facing. You can't put up with that feeling. And what you need to be able to do, you need to learn to sit with it. And after a week, these feelings will subside by 95%, and you will start to feel like food's slowing you down in the morning, and you don't need it. All you need is to be nicely hydrated. If you need some caffeine, choose a nice black coffee that you enjoy, which will help with cognitive function and stimulate you a little bit more. Try not to drink it an hour, like within the first hour of waking up, and I promise you, you're onto a winner. Since I started fasting, my performance, my strength, my ability to concentrate is skyrocketed massively.
Yeah, body composition as well. But
Hugely.
it is literally what you said. It's about those parasites, man, and not the ones that we need. These are the ones that will literally travel around the whole body. They can stay mostly in your intestines, so they cling to the walls. So they cling to the mucoid inner lining, the epithelial tissue of the intestine, and they'll stay there, and they'll scavenge on the food that you eat, and that's how they survive inside you. And then
the problem is, so many people are giving them a constant flow of food, keeping them constantly like giving them nutrition to keep being parasites.
Wow, that's 40K. That's crazy.
Talking facts, man. It's good.
That's crazy.
Can I just
can
I ask you a quick question, dude? What have you noticed the biggest difference in your personal health since moving away from the UK?
So, because I'm getting way more vitamin D, I'm getting I'm getting UVB rays. So UVB rays is when it's not early in the morning sun. I still get that, but it's in the afternoon, so it's more potent. So it's the sun's higher, whatever you wanna say about sun. So I get more vitamin D through or during the afternoon, and what that does to your body generally, because I was so deficient in England, just gives you no fatigue, it gives you more energy, your mood level increases, etc. So I don't use any suntan lotion, and obviously if I'm starting to burn, then I'll
inside.
be safe. But I just noticed that because I've been plant-based here as well, so I've literally not had any meat since I've moved here other than fish, and my energy level was mainly my body composition and just
digestion.
I just been way more at one with something greater than myself as well. I've been able to have more vivid dreams. I've been able to have just better control over my body. I've dropped weight as well, and then I realized that yeah, so I realized that I was holding on to a lot of unnecessary weight because obviously I was training a lot more and I was eating meat a lot more, and I was storing that energy of the meat for me, and I didn't realize that this was actually kind of blocking me in a way. But it's I'm what, 3 months in now. So
Don't get me wrong. I think long term plant based is can be difficult on the brain
yeah,
and performance levels. And this is why I say to people, if you are going to eat plant based, make sure you do your research and make sure you're eating in an absolute abundance. You need to be eating a lot of varieties of different berries,
yeah,
fruits, grains, whole grains, different greens, and you need to be doing it constantly. You can't have a couple of days where you do it. You need to be eating organized every day. Now, for me, who is following more of a primal diet, I can survive off of a lot less because of the nutrient quality that I'm getting through eggs and red meat.
yeah,
And obviously I'm supplementing that with some greens and stuff like that as well.
yeah,
But it's a completely different, we're in a completely different environment, and it's nice to hear that outside of the UK that there is hope.
yeah. It's just
100%.
it's just the lifestyle difference, but you like I still because the meat quality here is a lot better
Yes.
because most of the animals are fed on their natural food,
And they're
so,
also getting the sunlight as well.
and they're getting that extra bit. Yeah, so you know, I'm just testing it. Obviously, I'm eating fish, so I am still getting a lot of protein.
Yep.
And I'm making sure I have my full amino acid foods. So
And you're getting that through your fruits as well.
yeah,
A
exactly.
lot of people don't realize that. I was having a conversation with my friend Tom from the gym. Tom is a great personal trainer. He's got abundance of knowledge as well. And we were having this conversation where like 5 a day is not even like quarter of what I reckon you should be having. You can't eat enough fruit. And as for people that want to talk about fructose and damage to your teeth, I don't believe in it. I don't personally believe that that is a thing. A lot of people call an apple nature's toothbrush. Now, these things wouldn't be around if they were something that was eaten into your teeth. What's eaten into your teeth is modern society's way of living, like eating processed junk and sugars and white sugar, especially. So yeah, I don't believe the sugar from fruit is bad for you. If anything, it's gonna uplift and charge you, give you that energy, because our bodies solely survive from fats and glucose, which we need for energy and to survive. So yeah, big up the
Exactly.
fruit.
Yeah, it's true. And even with eating fruit, you're getting that H3O2 like you said as well,
Yeah,
and it does rejuvenate your blood. It gives you the actual drive and energy and vibrancy. It's like eating it's like eating milk chocolate versus dark chocolate. You're not getting the benefit, the ingredient, like the chemical makeup of dark chocolate compared to milk chocolate. So much more has been added to the milk compared to the dark. Like it's more raw. The dark is more raw, and it preserves more of its nutrient value. So
and if you're getting over 85%, I wouldn't even call it chocolate, man. It's literally cacao, and cacao
pure cacao.
is yeah, it's so good for you. It raises dopamine levels. It's so good for anti-inflammatory
Yeah,
purposes. It's just like dark chocolate is a winner. If there's people out there watching that really struggle with a sweet tooth and they need that little bit of chocolate or something, one of the biggest things that I do, get some Manuka honey, get some dark chocolate, a little bit of Manuka honey and dark chocolate together, winner. So many like nutritional like points in there as well, which is brilliant, and it tastes great. So a lot of people battle with this philosophy of our 80-20 or I need a nutrition diet, and but I want to enjoy it as well. Good foods can be enjoyable. It just comes down to how much you're willing to put research in and find out what is genuinely good for you and what you enjoy.
Exactly, and that's actually what we're doing here at Reset as well. Is we're creating food plans that we've done ourselves, and that are actually gonna completely change the game in terms of accessibility and taste. And they're the sort of food you go to that give you everything that you need, and they satisfy that sweet tooth. But what I will say is that the pastries in Portugal are amazing. I'm not going to lie to you. I've indulged in some cakes and some pastries, and they've been amazing. But it's just knowing when to stop, and you have to be we're a laboratory. The body's our laboratory. Different people function in different ways, you know. And
of course, the less pesticides you have in your body, the more easy it is to stop when you can stop.
Correct. Yeah. So those cravings, if you've eaten loads of sugar, loads of chocolate, junk food, whatever, and you've enjoyed yourself a bit too much, it's going to be harder to stop doing that because you're feeding entities inside you, and that you think are you, but it's actually not. And
this is why so many people struggle to stick to diets, and they go through such extremes. Like the majority of the UK and the USA are fat, and it's not something that people want to hear, but majority of people are overweight. Even though they think they're not, they are overweight and they are out of shape. And the problem is, because they've been doing it for so long, their body starts to then develop a craving and a lust and a need for these foods, and they don't feel satisfied if they don't scratch that itch. And it takes a 48-hour to a 72-hour fast to even start to scrape that away. And this is what people don't realize. They believe that going without is bad.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can enjoy it. Like one of the ways in which I work with clients is I say to them, look, you don't have to fully eliminate, depending on what their situation is, you don't have to fully eliminate these junk foods. You just have to moderate how often you have them. So what I say is 5 days where you eat whole foods, really tasty whole foods, and then 2 days or 1 day where you can just eat, you know, one of your favorite snacks, your cakes. You know, it's just because it's done on a weekly basis. It's not done on 1 day and I'm gonna get huge. It's done on an accumulated level. Yeah, like it's the accumulation. So it's like how much over a period of time you're doing the same thing. That will give you the result.
Yeah, the consistency.
Yeah,
and that's true. That's key.
Yeah, so you can have your junk foods, but as long as you're mitigating it by having a whole week mostly eating clean, and then exercising, and then obviously drinking water, like clean water, sleeping, all of that stuff basically. All of those little it's all chemistry really. And once you really do that, you don't have any resistance to a diet. You know, a diet, some people say it's die quiet. So it's like you don't even have to have a diet or give it a label. It's just, okay, I know if I eat clean, whole foods at least 5 days of the week, then 2 days, if I'm training or doing something else that's going to benefit me, then I can afford to eat whatever, you know, just not too much. and that's the key. That's how I've got to where I've got. Because you go insane if you can't eat, these types of food. But again, like you said, you don't even need to. It's like,
I think as well, like when you start to cut it out, I think you start to change your relationship with food. You
yeah,
start to enjoy, say, your vegetables, and you're like, wow, I can actually taste the sweetness of this carrot, or
true.
the like, you just have a completely different relationship with food altogether. And you'll find that the more you cut it out, the less that you're making excuses to then put it back in, because you
Yeah,
start to, I say with everybody, a lot of people think exercise is the most important. I think diet's the most important, and each one of these things, it's like a game where you have to climb up the ladders. You start to unlock the next platform every time that you endeavor into a new thing. Like you change your diet, then once you
yeah,
change your diet, you notice that, oh, okay, I'm starting to feel a bit more energetic, so I'm going to go to the gym a bit more. And then the gym starts to, you're like, wow, I start to look better, so I'm going to start to dress a bit better because now I feel better. And then it's just a constant knock-on effect until you're unlocking this higher version of yourself.
yeah,
And the funniest thing is, a lot of people eat foods and they feel tremendous guilt for it. Now, you're not feeling guilty because of the action you just did, because if you was, you wouldn't have done that action. What's happening is your higher self is not aligning with the action that you just made. And
mm,
it's like, nah, that wasn't good. And you can't work out. You're like, why am I feeling this guilt? Because I just enjoyed that so much. But the more you
yeah,
start to take yourself away from that, you start to align with your higher self, and then you don't want to go back to that.
mm, yeah. That's so true. And when you say higher self, because some people will think, well, what's that? Do you mean that it's that inner voice, that it's the heart?
Yes, it's your heart. Listen to your heart, not your head. A lot of people have sayings about the heart, and your heart is a coil, so it's a magnet,
Yeah,
which means that it attracts. And if it attracts, it also can pull negativity and positivity. So you need to listen to it, because it's trying to guide you, like north and south and all these things, they pull away from one another. You need to listen to what your heart's telling you sometimes, and if something doesn't feel okay with you and sit with you, you probably shouldn't be doing it, guys.
yeah, that's it. And for a long time, I never understood what that heart relationship was. I never had one with it. And then I realized that we actually have three. We have three brains. Sorry, the heart, the brain itself, and our gut.
Gut, yeah.
And all three of them are actually run along the vagus nerve. So it's like the biggest nerve in our body, and that's what's actually, the parasites are actually the ones that are communicating up that nerve to here, and actually telling what we think is us, is when it comes to food, is them. We just don't recognize it. So yeah, once I learned that one, I was, ooh, okay. How do I detox these guys? How do I take control? Take my control back. And yeah, he's gone there. But yeah, that was a big factor. And sometimes you wanna indulge. You almost feel like compelled to. But like I said, it is about learning your balance, and it does take a while. But then that's the relationship you have to forge with yourself, is remembering that we are in control, and nothing else is doing that for us other than ourselves. And when I say selves, it means yourselves, your actual cells. So I think we'll probably leave it there. That was a really, really interesting conversation and some great stuff being spoken about. So I'll just finish this live off with just speaking about this little beauty, which is amazing. So I've just had this sat with me, and I can feel, because I've got technology around me, I can actually feel how it's neutralizing it. And you can only sense that if you're tuned in. And we have to also remember, when you look at the research, when you look at the evidence, that all living organisms have a biofield. So the biofield is something that you can't see, but you can feel it. And herbs is coming back in. And that's something that I think is
Apologies, bro. Internet one.
Yeah, I was just talking about this. So James made this for me.
Wow, is that copper?
Yeah, it's copper. You got some bronze. There's all sorts. I can't remember the whole list, but it's all.
Orgonite, yeah.
There's organite, yeah. Shungite
Wow, man.
in there.
Powerful that.
It's amazing, man. You should get one off him. Like,
Is this to help block the EMFs?
Yeah. I was just saying how I've had it in front, like sat in front of me. I got like laptop and phone around me, and you can just feel the neutralizing effect of it. And I was just talking about the biofield, and this is something that I really want to make mainstream, to be honest, is because we all have one. If you're a living organism, then you have a biofield. You have a field, like a sheath around you, and it extends, from what I've heard, 3 foot. Yeah. And this is so key to learn, because then you start to see yourself as, okay, you become more cautious of where you put yourself.
Yeah.
Surround yourself, exactly. And this knowing is like, it's changed everything for me, and especially with like EMFs and all of these harmful technologies.
I did come across a woman's page. I will try to find the link and I will send it you. Yeah. There is something that's now been created that it's like a device that you can put in multiple rooms, and it's actually an EMF blocker. Like,
you sent me that, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I don't know how legit it is. I don't have one myself,
yeah.
But maybe something to look into, because if you can have multiple of them in a room, that sort of neutralizes a lot of that, especially in offices or buildings where a lot of people are working. This could be like a mass product that could help a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true.
But as you were touching on toroidal field and let's call it outer shell, I think a lot of people don't realize how powerful this is. Now, when you say, oh, I don't like that person's vibe, or I get a bad vibe from them, that's probably because you've entered their field and their outer shell. You can feel intentions, you can feel a lot of things from being in that shell. And this is why it's so important to be around people that are aligned with yourself, because as soon as you're not, them traits, them beliefs, them things start to rub off on you, no matter what you think. And now this is why I believe in schools, they sit you next to each other.
Interesting.
Public transport, they sit you next to each other. There's a lot of depth to this, and like, you can't really avoid it in a lot of situations. Now, this is why it's so key to escape to nature as much as you possibly can. And I urge people that are watching this to get yourself grounded as soon as you wake up in the morning. The first thing you do and the last thing you do before you go to bed, either get yourself grounded or make a space where you can meditate and start to reinforce your outer shell.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. You know, some people will be opposed to the idea because, you know, there would always be like, oh, it's weird, and this is exactly why you should do it. Because you're trying something new and you don't know if you haven't done it yourself. So you should never dismiss something that we've never directly experienced ourselves, you know?
Yep, 100%. And the thing is, there's been so much research done into it as well. So much research. And the fact that people will happily believe what they're told on the news or on the front of a paper, but they won't listen to people that have spent their whole lives researching something or spent physical time trying to do something, found out there's benefits, and then shared that with the world, and people go, nah, that's just hippiness, or it's just out there.
Yeah.
It's a fact, and it works. And I'm one of them people who's benefited from it vastly.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we just come back from the beach, and getting your feet on the sand, being in the ocean, it's the same thing. Yeah,
Ocean's the one, man.
yeah. Even, you know, it's because those ions, again, you can't see them, but when you breathe them in, that's how it works. In the same way with grounding, they travel through your feet, get into your bloodstream, and that's how they can also distribute around the body.
You say you can't see them, but you can definitely feel them.
Yeah, this is it, man. Is actually moving away from the materialist perspective. It's like, oh, if I can't see it, then it's not true. It's like, well, you do have other senses other than sight. You know?
And my argument to that would be like, well, you can't see space, but yeah, everybody believes in that.
Yeah, I mean, space is here now. Like, I'm touching space.
Yeah, we're in space. Everyone's got space. Space is everywhere.
Exactly, and then that goes into the fifth element, called the ether, and then that's when it really goes up a level, when you start to look into what the ether is.
Well,
and
when people try to argue against the fact of ether and stuff like that, so why is it called an Ethernet cable?
as well,
There's
the anagram.
there's so many things that are there to see, but I think in modern day society, they're keeping us so distracted that people don't want to put their time and effort into it anymore. People are sick, they're tired of working 9-to-5 jobs and coming home and struggling for money. That people don't realize that they're so abundantly rich. All they got to do is walk outside. All they got to do is take themselves to the park and put their running shoes on, or do a couple of pull-ups and push-ups. All of us are rich beyond our wildest dreams, but yet people attach rich to money, clothes, cars, all the things that don't bring any value.
Yeah, and call that internal wealth, and that just puts you in a better position to accumulate external wealth, but not even through trying. It magnetizes towards you because you've put the effort in, you've shown yourself the love, and then that is reflected back to you. What you are within is what you see outside. So
And watching that video that you sent me the other day on the Akashic Records, now that was a big game changer for me. It just confirmed a lot of things with me. And now, if you're looking at someone and you're having an opinion that is hateful, deceitful, or just in any means third dimensional, and what I mean by third dimension is like a lower state of mind, like not a good frame of mind upon someone else, then that is going to then come back to you. And this is what people don't realize. You can't put out bad and receive good.
No, it doesn't.
You have to be putting out good. You have to be on the vibration of authenticity and love, and else you're not going to receive that yourself.
Yeah, it's true. You know, with the judgment thing, there's something called non-polar attention.
Okay.
So obviously, if you look at two poles, right, the negative and positive pole. So non-polar is here rather than here or here.
Yeah, polar opposites.
Yeah. So when you practice non-polar attention, you basically create a space to observe without judgment. So you attach a neutral thought to it. So imagine it started raining. Most people are going to be like, "Oh, it's raining," and then they go to the negative pole.
Yep.
Whereas, like you said, the moment you have that negativity, the whole of your outer reality is reflected by your inner reality. So if you go to negative, then guess what? You're gonna feel negative just because you let something outside of you determine how you feel.
Do you think this may be why people in the UK have something that people call winter depression or seasonal depression?
Yeah, SAD. Yeah, like
because they're looking outside and they're thinking, "Oh, it's cold, it's wet, it's miserable."
Yeah.
But one sec, hang on. Have a look outside and look at the beauty that the frost brings to the trees, and the wildlife that changes, and the noises that you now hear, and the things that you can now see. Like, it's beautiful, but you have to give it beauty.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like artwork. Not every piece of artwork everybody loves the same.
Yeah.
You have to find your own appeal.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's having that positive twist.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the video I made. I say you choose what to feel. You create. You're a creator. You create the condition that you want to feel. You actually have a choice. I remember the first time I realized that. I was like, oh, I actually have a choice to decide how I feel. That's how programmed I was.
But the thing is, man, like it's people don't even realize they're being programmed.
Yeah.
A lot of people believe they're being helped or they're being guided. And you'll never realize you've been programmed until you have a spiritual awakening. And once you have that, or a lot of people say, you can't spark a spiritual awakening. Now, it might be drugs, it might be a breakup, it might be physical pain, or it might be a spiritual awakening. But a lot of things can help a spiritual awakening happen and can open your mind up to waking up from what was perceived as reality to this new reality. But you have to adhere to some hardship. You can't just wake up, you can't just be born and be aware, because in this day and age, there's too many factors that go against you for that to happen, unless you have parents that are so awake that they show you from the beginning.
It's true.
And that's what I know myself and you hope to have in the future, because we want to bring this next generation that's coming up, we want to bring them up the right way. We don't
Yeah.
want them to be indoctrinated into this society as it is now. We want to show them how rich and how abundant life can be from a natural, holistic point of view.
Definitely. Where you actually have an understanding that we're more than just the physical body, and you can't see your thoughts. You can't hold a thought in your hand, but with a thought you can go anywhere you want. So that in itself is not of this world. It's
And
invisible.
this is why genuinely meditation is
Yeah.
so important. I can't explain to people how much it's changed my life.
Yeah.
I never meditated, and I thought, why would I want to sit in silence? The thoughts that go through my head sometimes are not brilliant. Why would I want to sit with that?
Yeah.
When you learn to give your mind space, it creates a whole different reality. You can manifest the life that you want. You can become the person that you want to become and you've always dreamt of becoming, but you have to think it into happening, think it into existence by meditation.
Yeah. The visuals, again, the visualization is massive. And that's one of our powers. That's one of our powers that, again, people don't realize. They just take it for granted. They just think it's, oh yeah, I can do this, and it's easy to just pass things off as just being nothing. But actually, it's a power. It's an ability.
The amount of times I've spoken to people and I've gone, have you ever had this happen to you when you think of someone and the next day you bump into them, or you
Exactly.
think of a situation and it ends up happening? That is self-manifestation, but you need to control it. You need to give it a purpose and you need to make that purpose positive.
Yeah, you do. Because again, we choose our thoughts. When we feel negative, we have to do the self-inquiry. We have to ask ourselves. That's why the sitting in silence. I don't strictly meditate, but what I do is I close my eyes often and I process my thoughts as the observer, you know. So I don't take it as like I distance myself from the thoughts themselves, but I allow myself to process it. And again, it's just being silent, it's being still, and it's just breathing. And when you can just do that, it's its own magic.
It's a gift, man.
Yeah, and it's so basic. When you strip it back, it's just we were never taught it in school. Our parents never taught it us. The media never tells you this, and then that's when it goes into labeling it as hippie and labeling it as crazy, and then it completely exits your thought process as being something that you can actually do to make yourself feel better.
Yep.
And this is why people aren't thinking for themselves, because we do things on autopilot, and it's dangerous, man. Like it's, you know, so it's about just becoming the authority of your health, and that is what me and Katya are doing. We're helping people understand that and give them the tools to be able to do that themselves, and not be dependent on anyone else. Just everything comes from within you. You don't need anything external, really. You can create it all within you, and this is just crazy talk to most people, but they're going to have to wake up eventually and realize that if you want true abundance and you want true success and everything that you want, you have to start going back to source. You have to start acknowledging how important and powerful you are, and it takes a while to unlearn this, to unlearn the programs that you're not that, you know, to just
most people are scared. Remember when I first met yourself a few years back now, some of the things that you'd say to me, I'm very open-minded, so I never tried to be judgmental about it. But some of the things that you would tell me would sort of make me feel a little bit like, is this guy legit? Like, is this a legit way of living? Because like, it was so unnormal to me that, and then the more that I sat with it, listened to you and you explain deeper, the more these things were like, okay, that's 100%. Like, that can't be false. Like, it makes too much sense now. Now I've heard it correctly. And I think that's what it comes down to a lot of people. I think they just need to have it explained to them the correct way,
Right.
with good guidance, and that's where yourself and Katia are gonna be winning forever, because you're two knowledgeable people who have an abundance of ideas and different ways of helping such a variety of people, and you're both at peace with yourself, and that's the most important thing. You get a lot of people trying to instruct and teach people who don't actually follow them things themselves. So I can vouch. Alex and Katia are one of the two of the most legit people I've ever met in my life, and you both have changed my life, so I can only be grateful for that. And I don't think you guys realize the amount that you've left behind, and people still talk about how great you guys are.
Wow. I mean, it's, you know, that's mate, thank you firstly, man. Like, because if you can help just one person, then you feel like, yeah, this is what we're here for. It's you know, it's just to remind people of how great they are, of how powerful they are, and to tap into it, to not allow any other idea come in and destroy that, you know. And it's like once you know it, and once you have the tools, then you just start to rebuild yourself, and
That starts to become easy.
Yeah, life becomes easier, and you have more peace.
A lot more peace, and you know what, as well as having that peace, I think things become a lot less stressful to the mind. Like, when you realize that things aren't as big a deal as they've been making out, or things aren't the way that you first perceived, it becomes a lot easier to now make your own decisions.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you have the critical thinking as well. You start to question things more, but not to a degree where you're going crazy. It's you hear, you're given a tool, but you don't know how to use it. And if you don't know how to use it, then how are you supposed to make it work? How are you supposed to actually create something or fix something if you don't know how to use the tools you're given? So,
and that's where everybody needs a teacher, and that's where you guys are gonna come in. Like, you guys can teach so many people so many wonderful things if you pursue this.
Yeah, mate, it's just giving back, you know, because we went through what most people have gone through, you know, yourself as well, and it's just, again, we've just acquired the tools, and now we want to give back, and there's no other motivation than changing people's lives and making them become the best that they can be, because when you help others, they help themselves. When you help yourself, you help others. So,
and as we said before, what you put out, you do receive back. So if you're helping people help you, or helping people help themselves, then other people are going to reach out to you that have more knowledge or have a greater calling, and they're going to start to help you. Like James, for example, who was on the video earlier. People like that, a couple of years ago, we wouldn't have probably been in the same ballpark as people like this, but because we've pursued the ability to try and better oneself, now these people are now becoming prevalent, and now they're starting to drop in to help us, and so on and so forth as we keep climbing that ladder.
Exactly. You attract people. You know, the heart is more magnetic than the brain. They prove there's proof that it's, I don't know, 50 times or 10 times between that, in terms of what you can magnetize towards you. And again, it goes back to the feeling of love and being able to take those negative emotions and to transmute them, to go through them, but be at a state where you're more positive, right? Like, you look at the pH scale from acid to alkaline.
Mm-hmm.
Neutral is great, but we know that more alkaline is better for the body
For the
itself.
soul
So,
as well, man.
for the soul, with which is part of the body. It houses the body, you know. The body is the same as the soul.
And we talk about the outer shell, that field. There's no better way of strengthening that by A, cleaning up your diet and exercising, and
Yeah.
B, putting out that positivity and helping others.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any better feeling than making somebody else feel good or accomplishing something with someone. Like, we've climbed a couple of mountains together now in crazy treacherous conditions, and maybe we shouldn't have, and we should have maybe been a little bit more safe. But the accomplishment we felt from doing that, and the ability that we grew together, compared to if we'd have just gone up on a sunny day with a load of other tourists, completely different.
Yeah.
You have to put yourself through a certain amount of adversity to grow correctly.
Yeah. The comfort zone. If you don't smash the comfort zone, then how do you expect to become better? How do you expect to grow? The zone is keeping you there, but there's all of this to grow into. So bit by bit.
If you was to give people 5 things off the top of your head to start from today to transform their lives, what would them 5 things be, and how would you implement them?
So first and foremost is to have the science and have the proof that we are more than just the physical body. So get to know about the more metaphysical side of what we are, the more metaphysical aspect. Metaphysical just means beyond physical. There's more to what we are than just what you see in the mirror. That would be the first thing. So you find the information there. There's information there.
Read books.
And then read, exactly. And then it's changing your food. It's aiming for whole foods mostly. And then it's also changing your water at the same time. So making sure you're drinking clean, filtered water. And that those two alone are gonna make a massive difference. And then it's all about movement and breathing properly.
Movement's medicine, man.
Movement is medicine. And when you can actually infuse proper breathing with exercise, so taking control of your breath, being conscious of your breath, that's going to change everything. So taking a note, if you're breathing too up here, that's stress. Stress for the body. It thinks it's running away from a threat. It perceives a threat that isn't there, and that changes the whole of your systems and how they work.
Nasal breathing as well, over mouth breathing.
Yeah, so breathing through your nose, breathing through your mouth when you need to, and then the last 2 would be that self-talk. It would be being able to take control of, or being aware of, that you are the observer of your thoughts. You are not the thoughts themselves. And
they don't dictate for you, you dictate to them.
Yes, you are in control of your thoughts, not the other way around. as much as it's hard to take control of it, it's just being like, you have to override like a system. It's like
Hard
you have to,
drive.
yeah, you have to be the administrator of your device. You know, you have the keys. No one else has the password but you. And if you're the only one that has the password, that means you can override anything else that's trying to come in, you know? And you just replace it. You choose to replace it with a more positive thought. Grateful, being grateful. The fact we can walk on 2 legs.
Have
That's
eyes,
the biggest one.
have nose, have the ability to smell, taste, touch. It's things that a lot of people are not grateful for nowadays.
And I understand why. It's because we don't know who we are. We don't know what this is. You know, we don't understand how magical it is. So we're not going to care about the fact we can breathe and we can walk without being disabled, and you know, and be able to do this even, and eat quality food and build relationships.
Exercise and yeah, talk to one another and be social. Have conversations like myself and you now.
Exactly, and that will be my last one: is to be authentic with yourself, and remember that there's only one of you, and no one else has the same fingerprint as you, except in very rare cases. And that means, therefore, you're your own universe. The you is the universe. You put the universe in you. And so that means, how much potential do you have? How much creativity do you have? How much can you prove and show yourself to the world? Like, you have a purpose. You know, you prove to yourself.
How much do you want that as well?
And how much do you want it? A lot of people now they've lost their connection to actually wanting to better themselves.
And that's another parasite. It's a mind parasite, man. Like
Mind.
when
It's the mind virus.
when you start to make negative decisions, it makes the next negative decision so much easier. I'm someone who has been an alcoholic. I've had vast amounts of drug abuse and use, and I've never sought any help to come away from that or gone to a rehab or any such thing, because I wanted so much to get better and become a better person. So I knew that I had to stop it, and it's not an easy journey. And for anybody that's watching that's struggling with that, know that it's not going to be easy, but that each day that you stick with something like that, the better you become and the stronger you become. You may not feel like it. You may have days where you're down on your knees and you're struggling, but you can get through it if you want to. And it's all comes down to wanting to do something. And stop drinking. That's my biggest thing that I could tell anyone. Stop drinking alcohol. It's not benefiting you in any way, shape or form. I have times where, okay, I'll have a glass of wine now and again on a special occasion. On your leaving do, I had a couple of rums. Like, guys, don't be cruel like with your diet. Don't take out everything. Enjoy somewhat, but don't be drinking regularly, because that is one of the things that is going to keep you down in that third dimension more than anything. They want you to be drinking as much as you can. That's why it's so highly promoted.
Yeah, exactly. We got to start questioning why things that are so damaging to our health are promoted so much. And I can break this down very, very easily. Is because there is an understanding of how powerful we all are as a collective, and that threatens the very systems and establishments that have promoted these toxins to be so available.
It does It doesn't aid them for people to be commune and collect and together and to be thriving and healthy. Because when we're run down, when we're using their pharmaceutical medications, when we're struggling with hangovers and need that McDonald's, all of them things, they all link up. Like, it's when you start to deep it and when you start to actually see it for what it is, they're set. There's like breadcrumbs that they lay out for you to follow, and unintentionally you follow them